السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. في هذا اليوم الجمعة الموافق 22 من شهر الحجة للعام 40 بعد 104 في الهجرة النبوية على صاحبها أتم الصلاة والتسليم، الموافق 23 من الشهر 8 للعام 19 بعد 2000 بالتاريخ الميلادي. وفي هذا المسجد، مسجد السلام في مدينة داربي في بريطانيا، نجتمع جميعا في أول يوم أو افتتاحية الدورة العلمية التربوية. وقبل البدء شكرا لله تعالى أولا ودائما على تيسيره أن يسر ما كان عسيرا وقرب ما كان بعيدا وهيئ لنا جميعا من أمورنا رشدا. ثم أشكر القائمين والمتابعين والمشرفين لهذه الدورة العلمية، وعلى رأسهم الشيخ الكريم عيسى وإمام المسجد أبو الحسن، ومعهم الإخوان الإداريين والمتعاونين. ثم أشكر المشاركين الشيخ خالد بن شجاع العقيلي، وجزا الله تعالى الجميع خيرا.
The Shaykh began by praising Allah and sending salutations upon the Prophet ﷺ, and he specified the date. He said today is Friday, the 22nd of Dhul Hijjah, 1441 after the Hijrah of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. And this is in conformance to the 23rd of August 2019. The Shaykh is saying that this is the first day in the opening of our conference, and before we begin he'd like to thank Allah firstly and always for making something which is usually difficult, but He's made it easy. He's brought people from far away, close. So he's thanking Allah in all of our affairs. And then the Shaykh extended his thanks and his gratitude to all those people who helped establish this conference, who organized this conference, who put this conference together, everyone who took part to make this happen. And the Shaykh said that from the foremost of them, of the organizers, was Shaykh Isa and Shaykh Abu Hassan, the Imam of this masjid. And the Shaykh also likes to extend his thanks to those people who are taking part. For example, Shaykh Khalid Shuja, who's sitting on my left. The Shaykh is giving thanks to all of them.
ونعم الله تعالى إذا ذكرها كثير من الناس يذكرون نعمة الأكل ونعمة الشرب ونعمة اللباس ونعمة الأمن ونعمة الصحة وما سوى ذلك. ولا شك أن هذه من النعم العظيمة التي ينبغي أن يشكر الله عليها، لكن من أعظم النعم، بل قد تكون هي النعمة الأولى، نعمة العلم. نعمة العلم أن يتبصر الإنسان فيما يجب عليه وفيما يحرم عليه، فيما يرضي ربه عز وجل فيلزم ذلك، وفيما أوجبه الله عليه فيلزم ذلك، وفيما نهاه الله عنه فيحذر ذلك. نعمة العلم من أعظم نعم الله على العبد. وقد ذكر أهل العلم أن الرفعة رفعتان: رفعة الإسلام، أهل الإسلام على غيره، ورفعة أهل العلم من أهل الإسلام على من سواه. وذكر القرطبي أن الرفعتين اجتمعتا في قوله تعالى: يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات. رفعة الذين آمنوا رفعة عامة على غيرهم من غير المؤمنين، ورفعة أهل العلم من أهل الإيمان رفعة خاصة على من سواه.
The Shaykh says that most people, when this is from the favor of Allah, most people when they think about the favor of Allah, they think about food, they think about clothing, they think about security, they think about health, and they consider these as being a favor from Allah. And the Shaykh said that many people consider these and other things as being the favor. And there is no doubt that these are important, and we must thank Allah for these favors. But the Shaykh said that the greatest favor and the most important favor and the foremost of the favors from Allah that Allah gives to us is the favor of having knowledge. The Shaykh said knowledge gives a person insight and he gives them depth, and from that knowledge he's able to understand what is obligatory upon him, what is haram, what is forbidden, what he can do to please Allah and what Allah has forbidden, and what causes Allah's anger. And when he has that insight, he is able to get closer to Allah and thank Allah, and if he and do the things that Allah loves and is pleased with. And if he has insight in the things that Allah is angered with and the things that Allah has forbidden, then he's able to stay away from them. So this is from the greatest of favors, the favor of having knowledge. And the Shaykh says that there are two types of elevation that people can have. He said one kind of elevation is to be elevated through Islam. So when you have Islam, you are elevated above everybody else. But this is a general elevation for us all. There is another one which is special, which is inside of Islam, which is a special elevation that Allah gives above the first one, which is that which is given to the people of knowledge. And this is a special one which is inside the general favor which Allah gives to those people who have Islam. So the Shaykh said that Imam Qurtubi mentions this in the tafsir, where Allah says that Allah will raise some of you because of your iman, but then those people who have knowledge, Allah will raise them even more in multitude. This one ayah includes both of these favors and both of these elevations. The people of iman and Islam will be elevated above everybody else, but within inside Islam and iman, the people of knowledge will be elevated amongst everyone else in Islam in multitudes.
وصاحب العلم هو كالمنارة في السفن في ظلام البحر، وكالدليل للمسافرين في الصحراء خشية الضياع عليهم. الإنسان إذا جاء إلى مثل هذه البلاد لا بد أن يعرف قوانينها، قوانين المرور، قوانين البلدية، قوانين التعليم، حتى لا يقع في مخالفات يدفع مخالفة مالية أو سجن عقوبة له، فلا بد أن يسأل. فإذا تعلم أمن العقوبة والغرامة والسجن، فمن باب أولى أن يتعلم الإنسان ما يؤمنه من عذاب الله وسخطه.
The Shaykh is saying that a person living in this, a person who has knowledge, a person that has knowledge is like a person who has light. He's like a lantern that illuminates all those things around him in darkness. So a person could be at sea, complete pitch blackness, but the person who has knowledge is that lantern and is that light. Likewise, the Shaykh gives another example of people who are walking in the countryside, in the desert, pitch black, they don't know which way to go, but the person who has knowledge is the one who is that lantern. He is the one who is able to guide, he is the one that is able to show what is right and what is wrong. And the Shaykh says that living in this land, all of us follow laws, whether it's laws when it comes to traffic, whether it's laws when it comes to our interaction with the council and the government, in education. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want to fall into fines, we don't want to go into jail, we don't want to be prosecuted. So the Shaykh says the only way that we can get around that is to, if we learn, if we ask, what are the procedures, what do we need to do, what are those certain things that we need to do when it comes to the traffic laws, when it comes to the council, how do we pay, etc. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want to be fined, we don't want to be prosecuted, we don't want to end up in jail. The Shaykh is saying what is much more appropriate that we take seriously is what will free us from the fire and the punishment of Allah.
من فضل العلم أو فضائل العلم كثيرة، ذكر الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم آيات كثيرة في فضل العلم وأهله، والسنة النبوية فيها عشرات الأحاديث، بل صنف العلماء مصنفات مستقلة في فضل العلم. ويكفي أن الله تعالى لم يأمر نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يطلب الزيادة من شيء إلا من العلم، وقل رب زدني علما. وبين الله تعالى الفرق الشاسع، قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون. وذكر الله تعالى أن أهل العلم أدرى الناس بمواطن السلامة والمخارج من الفتن. وفي قصة قارون، ولا أطيل في ذكرها، من قرأها وجد أن فريقين اختلفا في قارون، فأهل الدنيا افتتنوا بدنياه ورغبوا فيها، وأهل العلم حذروا من ذلك، وأن ذلك عاقبته أو أن عاقبته سحق وسخط من الله تعالى، فكان الصواب قول أهل العلم.
The Shaykh says the favors of knowledge are many, and there are many ayat in the Quran which talk about the favors of seeking knowledge and the people who have knowledge, and there are many hadith which talk about this also, and there are many books that have been written by the scholars. But the Shaykh says that he's not going to go into all of that. He says it's sufficient that Allah says in the Quran, in telling the Prophet ﷺ not to ask an increase of anything except for ilm. Allah says in the Quran, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي إِلْمًا, O Allah, O my Lord, increase me in knowledge. And the Shaykh said that there is another example also where we find ayat in the Quran. There is another example where Allah makes a differentiation between people who have knowledge and don't have knowledge. They are not the same. So Allah says, are those people who have knowledge the same as those people who don't have knowledge? And the Shaykh also says that knowledge is a safety when times of fitna and corruption become prevalent. And the Shaykh says that there was a man called Qarun in the time of Musa alayhi salam, and there was a story that is mentioned about him, and the Shaykh said that he's not going to go into talking about those ayat in detail, but in a summary, there were two types of people when it came to Qarun. There were one type of people who liked him and followed him because of their love for the dunya. But there was another group of people who didn't follow him, and they were the people who have knowledge. They warned against following him and being attached to the dunya. And they said that if you were to follow him and become attached to the dunya and follow the ways of Qarun, there will be a terrible punishment in the end. And the correctness was found with the people of knowledge at that time.
من شرط صاحب العلم أن الملائكة تستغفر له، وأن الحيتان في جوف البحار كذلك تستغفر له، ومن باب أولى أو من لازم ذلك أن ذلك من أسباب مرضات الله تعالى عليه.
The Shaykh said from the nobility that you can gain from seeking knowledge is that the angels make istighfar for those people who seek knowledge. And this level of other people seeking istighfar for those people who seek knowledge even extends to the sea. That even the fish in the sea make istighfar for those people who seek knowledge. And the Shaykh says what this teaches us and what this is implying heavily, which is that through seeking knowledge you are gaining the pleasure of Allah.
قبل الأخير شرف العلم وطالب العلم أن كل صاحب مهنة يحتاجه الناس في مهنته. فمثلا صاحب الذهب لا يأتي إليه إلا صاحب من يشتري الذهب، وصاحب اللحوم لا يأتي إليه إلا من يحتاج اللحم، وصاحب السيارات تاجر السيارات لا يأتيه إلا من يريد شراء سيارة. أما صاحب العلم يأتيه الناس كلهم لأنهم يحتاجونه في أمور عقيدتهم وعباداتهم ومعاملاتهم.
The Shaykh said before we end, and this is going to be one of his final points, is that the honor of having knowledge and those people who seek knowledge is that everyone becomes dependent on those people who have knowledge. So the Shaykh gives an example. Those people, for example, if you want to buy gold, you will go to the people who are experts in gold. If you want to go buy meat, you will go to the people who are experts in meat. If you want to buy a car, you will go to an expert who knows how to buy and sell cars. But for ilm, every single one of us in our communities, and no matter what walk of life you are, no matter what career that you're in, every single one of us are dependent on the people who have knowledge, because the people of knowledge are able to give advice for all of our affairs, irrespective of what background they come from.
أخيرا، إذا استفاد الإنسان علما، استفاد فائدة، فإن لهذا العلم زكاة. زكاة المال ربع العشر، وزكاة الزرع وآتوا حقه يوم حصاده، وزكاة العلم العمل به وأن تعلمه الآخرين، وأولى الناس أهل بيتك، تعلم والديك، تعلم أولادك، تعلم جيرانك، تعلم أصدقائك، وكلما علمت كلما كثر الأجر وانتفع الناس. ومن تعلم منك ثم علم الآخرين فالأجر يجري أو أجورهم يجري عليك مثلها لا ينقص من أجورهم شيء.
So the Shaykh says finally the benefit of seeking knowledge is that knowledge needs to be given zakat on. Zakat we normally associate with wealth, and the Shaykh says yes, a quarter of your wealth that you've had for a year, you would pay zakat on that. If you have crops and if you have harvests, you need to give zakat on that. But the Shaykh says that knowledge also has zakat. And the zakat for knowledge is that you act upon what you learn. And once you act upon what you learn, you should teach the people around you, those people in your household, your parents, your relatives, your neighbors, your friends. And what happens with that zakat that you give them, that knowledge, is that the more you teach, the more reward you will get for yourself. And the more benefits that you pass on to other people, and as long as those benefits are passing on to those other people, all of that reward gets back to the zakat that you gave yourself initially, so you are rewarded for all of those other people benefiting.
أخيرا، بعض الحضراء يقول أنا أتابع في قنوات في مواقع إلكترونية العلم. يقال نعم، لكن حضور المسجد وحضور مجالس العلم فيه نزول السكينة، فيه غشيان الرحمة، فيه الراحة النفسية والبدنية، يلتقي الأخ بإخوانه فيقوي بعضهم بعضا، وفق الله جميعا لكل خير.
The Shaykh says finally, some people like to seek knowledge and they say, yeah, well, I will seek knowledge in my own time and I can seek knowledge by using my mobile phone and following websites, etc. And the Shaykh says that this is good. You can seek knowledge in that way also, but seeking knowledge in the masjid in this manner is not like no other. When you come to the masjid and you seek knowledge in this way, tranquility descends upon you. The angels surround you. Divine mercy from Allah descends upon majalis like this and sittings like this, and we will gain a level of brotherhood that you can't gain in any other way, so that we can cooperate with one another and increase love for one another.
شكرا لكم ومعذرة من الإطالة. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
The Shaykh would like to extend his thanks to you all for listening, and this is the end of the Shaykh Abdul-Aziz.
شكرا. بارك الله فيك. السلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just as a reminder, inshallah, now Shaykh Khalid Shaja al-Atibi hafidhahullah from the country of Kuwait, may Allah preserve it, he will be doing his main lecture, so we advise everybody inshallah to still remain seated. That was the introduction done by Shaykh Abdul-Aziz, and now we will have the main lecture. And inshallah, Shaykh Abdul-Aziz as-Sadhan, barakallahu fi, the one who just gave the reminder now, he will be doing a muhadara after